You mentioned Southwest Airlines and Herb, is it Keller? Is that
Kelleher, yeah.
My understanding is that he founded his business on love, which is quite an unusual, and there's an absolutely fantastic video arts video about how Southwest Airlines run their business based on love, which was his initial vision. Love and business aren't two things that are normally talked about. It works for Southwest Airlines. Do you think it could work for more companies?
Well, I think you've said Ryanair is a very romantic airline. taking you to Italy with all those places. But Southwest got the tag because they fly from a place called Love Field. It's L-O-V-E, but they actually use L-U-V. But I think we should go back to, I think it was when I was talking about the culture, I think it is that. But it's very nice to get a compliment, I have to say, in such strong terms, because I think there's a lot of people like you that has worked for them, and I think the people who complain is very few and far between. And the habitual complainers, get money. I was in Aer Lingus, we used to pay out money left, right and centre. That doesn't happen in Ryanair.
Personally, what's your, again, it seems to persist, this myth that you can't be kind in business. I mean, what's been your take on that? Because again, as I offered to you when we first met, I was very struck, first of all, by your warmth. What's your feeling about this in business, and how important it is for anybody who's on the journey of becoming their own boss?
I'll tell you what's really important is that you've got to kind of relate to people. If somebody likes you, they'll do business with you, because all businessmen, doesn't matter who they are, 75% of it is ruled by the heart, not by the mind or analytical or business, whatever. And if somebody doesn't like you, they won't do business with you. It doesn't matter what you're offering, in my view. So I think, if you show that kind of warmth or interested, I think it works. I think it works in all sorts of businesses. I don't know what you call it, charm or whatever, but if you boil it all down, it's just being nice to people, and people will be nice back to you. And I think companies, okay, you have to make profits, but I think that it kind of goes beyond that as well. You have to do other things. Like Ryanair supported a load of charities. You probably wouldn't even know of half of them. They support Orbis, the Flying Eye. The girls strip off every year for a calendar. We got into trouble over that. But they're in bikinis, okay? It's not that bad. But every year they raise 100,000 euros for a charity that the staff themselves pick out, not the management. So I think that's quite good. And they're trying to develop that thing that Southwest have, that it's a family, and that they look after themselves, and they look after themselves, if they're ill and people go to their homes and stuff like that. And I think that works, and I think human nature is, it's like all the mayhem that's happening in the world. There's still more good guys than bad guys, and there's still more good people than bad. And I think if we are nice to people, it works.
I'm running a small family-run business about food, but it's quite different than yours. But I think the most common challenges we found in the early stage of the business. By the way, I run 5 years already, but I feel like still in the initial stage, because every stage is like a new steps. So we find on the way that when we want to grow, the most challenging part is finding the right people to take on board, in terms of having a business partner, and also in terms of having your employees.
Well, funny, for Ryanair do like walk-in interviews for various staff. And some staff, you have to get them for their academic abilities if they're going to be in finance or HR or something like that. But other people are employed for their attitude. I think that's the most important thing of all. And you can see that if you're interviewing somebody, whether they've got the right attitude. They mightn't know too much about the company, but they should know a certain amount. But I think it's their attitude and their willingness to become part of it. And I think you gauge that. You take into account people are going to be nervous and stuff like that. But I think it's just their attitude. and how they come across. If they know about the company, they'd like to be involved, and what their kind of goals are. But it's kind of a gut instinct, I think, in a lot of ways, when you're interviewing people. But I think, I'd have to say again, that it is attitude that is the most important thing.
What I wanted to ask you about was your thoughts on the tax breaks in Ireland and foreign countries, headquartering over there for some of the tax breaks.
Well, I think the Irish government have been doing it for many, many years, and that's why the likes of Google and a lot of the reservation companies, have moved there. Dell have moved there. They also give tax breaks for movie making. They see it as a great way to get revenue. You probably don't know or realise, but the movie Braveheart was made in Ireland, not in Scotland. Looks like Scotland, but it really is Ireland. And the EU have tried to stop that. This corporation tax as well, which is the lowest in Europe, because it's a small country, so they need those dollars and they need those revenues, and I think it works. And I think long may it continue that they get it.
Can you just tell us a little bit about why, cash flow and cost management is so vital to get your head around whatever it is that you're doing? Do you just want to tell us a little bit?
Well, I think if you take your eye off the ball, certainly with costs, and you have to know where your costs are, that money just goes down a black hole. And a lot of the airlines have failed because they didn't control the costs and they didn't know the value of anything. And Ryanair has a yield system for the fares. They can tell before a flight even lands how much that costs and how much profit there is in it. And it's amazing even to me, having even left, that they're still running on this cost control. And it started with a simple thing like a lemon in a gin and tonic. They cut the lemon out, saves about 50 grand a year, just because they didn't give a lemon. But it didn't stop people buying gin and tonics. They might have preferred to have the lemon. But I think it's looking at costs like that, even to this fact that the in-flight magazine has been reduced to a third just to save on weight. It's small things like that that you have to keep really, really to the forefront. So your costs don't run away with you. And people, it's kind of in their culture now. People come up with the ideas themselves. You're probably aware that you can't recline your seats in Ryanair. You have to sit upright and kind of behave yourself. But that was the engineers, because they were tired of, wasting time fixing the seats, because when they start to break and they fall apart and stuff. And if a seat is broken, you lose the seat going back out. But that was the engineers. In another company, they probably wouldn't do that, because they'd say, that could affect our jobs. It's taking away some of our work. So you have to have that kind of idea, that a lot of the ideas, in fact, come from the shop floor themselves and how they save money.
So we're just talking about cost and quality. So some things are inevitable, like maybe due to technology, you need fewer staff in the cockpit. Maybe you need fewer check-in staff because everything can be automated. But they don't decrease the quality of the service. But the kind of things you're mentioning, like seats not being able to recline, not having lemons, less reading matter and stuff, they potentially decrease the quality of your customer's experience. Do those kind of things not worry you?
No, it didn't change it at all, really. As I was saying, people still had gin and tonics, but they didn't have the lemon or the lime. Now, I mean, the thing is, maybe they might go back to doing a bit more things like that now. But if you start doing things that you really don't have to do, that's nothing got to do with the objective of flying, you can find your costs just soar and gets out of control. And that's what happens with so many airlines. They say, we're going to do this, we're going to give you a chauffeur-driven car, we're going to give you mileage, we're going to give you this. And they're just run out of business.
Yeah. Just a quick thought about that.
It's a good point you made. I mean, obviously, it probably would annoy people. But I don't think if somebody was going to get a £50 fare, the fact that they didn't get a lemon, I don't think it would detract them from flying or pay £500 in British Airways and get all the lemons you like.